Hi, my name is Melford, and this is Men Talk Healing.
Welcome to Men Talk Healing, where every story matters, where every conversation has the power to change a life.
These videos are not me pretending that I've got it all figured out or that I have all the answers. This is just me sharing my journey in the hope that someone listening might feel a little less alone. My earliest memory isn't football, isn't school. In fact, it's not even a happy memory, if you want to call it. It's a memory of me being in my dad's flat with my mum and dad and them arguing. It's funny because my dad's flat holds so much memories for me. Well, not a lot, but um, definitely my earliest memories growing up in Preston. Um, it's funny. I remember it was a old tower block, um, and I just remember going to the flats, and obviously you going through the front doors downstairs, and we had to get the lift. And my dad lived on the very top, well, pretty much on the roof, if you want to call it a studio flat. So I always remember going to the apartments and there would be some sort of dodgy character in the downstairs lobby, and we'd have to get into the lift and obviously go to the top floor. Well, in fact, you'd have to go to let's say it was 13 floors, you'd have to go to the 12th and then walk up steps to get to the actual rooftop. Going into my dad's house, my dad's was I'm not sure if he practiced Rastafarianism, but he had locks, long locks, all the way down to his back of his knees. Yeah, and the apartment itself kind of reflected um, a typical Rasta man's house, really, if you want to call it that. You walk in, smell the cornmeal on the fire stove. You know, um, you had plants all around, big, massive. I think they're called Monstera plants actually. And my wife's got a few of them now. But he had loads of them. He had a big wicker chair I used to love sitting in, and then his decks with music playing. Um, yeah, it was they. I loved that flat. I loved going there. I loved always going to go and see my dad. Really. I remember. I'm not sure if it was his or his best friend Jeff's. Um, an orange car. I think it was an orange Sierra, and they would pick us up in it. There was everywhere my dad was. It was especially if it was in the car. Um, Jeff would be with him as well, and Jeff's sons. And we'd either go to Jeff's house, and we'd play with his sons. Um, he had he had a massive Alsatian dog. It was a big thing, but it was friendly. I wasn't scared of it or anything like that. Not that I remember anyway. Clever dog, very clever. But yeah, they were the earlier memories of going to see my dad. I remember obviously not living with him. We didn't live far from him, but my nursery was literally down the road from where his flat was. So I remember if we went to nursery, on the occasion, Mum would take us up to the flat, and yeah, we go and see him. I've got six siblings altogether. But for me and my mum had two of us, myself and my sister Nikisha, who's 2 years younger than me. And then I remember going to my father's house one day. I must have been, I'm not sure how many years older I am. How many years older I am than my other sister Azelle. But I remember meeting her when she was less than 1 years old. I remember going to the house and seeing her. Obviously, Dad introduced us to her. We spent the afternoon there. I think played with my sister, and then literally that was the last time I seen her till I was a teenager. Um, me, my youngest siblings, Akil and Takia, when I was more of a teenager, um, and again on the very odd occasion I would see my dad. He brought us to see Akil and Takia, who were very young at the time. Um, I remember going to their house because their mum Catherine was amazing with us, very welcoming. Um, I think she just enjoyed the fact that her children had elder siblings. Yeah, she just looked after us. Very nice lady, and still speaks to her to this day. Lovely lady. Um, yeah, again, we would see them on the very odd occasion when they were younger, and then again didn't see them till I was a teenager. So similar patterns really in terms of seeing my siblings and then not seeing them for a while. Growing up, I always knew I had an elder brother. He's called Glenn. Uh, I think he's probably 5 or 6 years older than me. I think. I might be wrong with that. Could be a little less. I'm not too sure. But I always remember wanting to meet him. We moved to Manchester. Myself, my mum. My mum took me and Nikisha from Preston to Manchester when I was roughly 7 or 8 years old. We would always go back to Preston, especially during the summer, especially for the carnival. And I remember being at the carnival, loving going to the carnival because I knew that was always going to be the best opportunity for me to see my dad. Um, and it was always great because when you did see him, my mum would just say, "Right, go with your dad for a bit," and I'd just be following him around while he's talking to everybody. He was very popular. Everybody knew him. But I think the one thing I do remember about that is how I felt in terms of he he was proud of me because he would always be saying to people, "Oh, this is my son," and obviously they would have a little chat with me and whatnot, and be like, "Oh, I seen you when you was this height and whatever." But it was always something that stood out that he did love me, and that he was proud of me. But yeah, this one particular time, I must have been about 10, probably 11, um, and as usual, seeing my dad. Mum says, "Right, go with him." So we've gone round seeing everybody, And I remember we walked towards where obviously there's loads of music and the food and whatnot. So we've gone to buy the speakers, and obviously the speakers are blazing. And I remember this young teenage boy walked over um, and was speaking to my dad, and then my dad just turned to me and goes, "Oh, this is your brother." That was it. Literally, that was it. Um, to be fair, I think somebody like one of his friends caught his eye again, and he started speaking to his friend. So me and Glenn were just stood there, and I can't remember if we said anything to each other. Might have said, "Yeah, how are you?" Whatever, blah blah. But again, I'm 10 or 11 years old. Like I said, he's probably 4 or 5 years older than me. Whatever the age gap is, but he's a teenager now. I don't think he wants to be sat there or stood there talking to a young lad. He wants to go out and do what he's doing and go and join the carnival. So yeah, I remember it was like an awkward silence for a little bit, and then um, he said goodbye to his dad, our dad, and then went off. And then I remember the next few times I see my dad, I would always like, "Oh, can we go and see my brother?" And there was always some sort of excuse. Um, I don't know what the excuses were right now. I can't remember, but there was always some reason why I couldn't go and see him. Um, so yeah, that was um, that was that in terms of meeting or knowing my siblings up until I turned 17. Really, growing up as an older sibling to Nikisha, I took pride in that, in being the older sibling, looking after her at the time she needed it. Um, but there was always an empty feeling in terms of knowing that I had a brother there, but he just wasn't accessible. I think I could have done with I could have done with an older brother, especially with some of the stuff I eventually ended up getting into, um, or any scrapes that I had or whatever. Um, so it was tough not not being able to just reach out and say, yeah, bro, can you help me with this, or ask his advice or whatever. And I don't hold no malice about that at all. You know what I mean? He's he was a young man trying to go through life himself without his father, the same as me. But yeah, I think that there was a void growing up, in terms of not having my father there, of course, when I needed him to be, but also knowing that my older brother's there, but not actually accessible. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Opening up is quite a big deal for myself, so I appreciate you taking your time to listen to what I've got to say. And I also believe that there's people out there that need to hear it. This is only part one of my journey. In part two, I'm going to be talking about myself growing up in Preston, as I lived there till I was 7 or 8 years old. So I'm just going to go through a few memories of that time. If any of my stories resonate with you, please subscribe to the channel and share with anybody that needs to hear it. Until next time, keep talking, keep healing.